In the Impact segment tonight, as the showdown over the health care bill continues, some GOP congresspeople are framing the debate as being about whether you are for President Trump or against him. Joining us now with reports from both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue, Fox News Chief White House Correspondent John Roberts and Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel. Mike, I'm going to start with you. I hear you have some late-breaking news.
Well, that's right, Eric. I'm told from congressional sources that White House Budget Director Mick Mulvaney, behind closed doors, told House Republicans that they're ready to vote. And if the vote fails tomorrow in the House of Representatives, that President Trump has made up his mind and he is ready to move on to tax reform. Now, that would be complicated because part of tax reform would be getting rid of some of the Obamacare taxes. So House Speaker Paul Ryan has made the case that you have to do health care first, strip out those Obamacare taxes, and then you go on to tax reform after that. Another big lift here on Capitol Hill. But it sounds like after working the phones, after sending Steve Bannon and Reince Priebus and Mick Mulvaney up to the Hill tonight once again to meet with lawmakers, it sounds like the White House has made up its mind. The president's made up his mind. He's ready to move on. He's done everything possible to get this across the finish line. Now he's hoping that pressure on lawmakers to get this done kicks in tomorrow with a successful vote. Eric?
Okay, John, talk to us a little about that, how the president handles this. Look, he's been out there saying, I'll take Paul Ryan's bill and we're going to get this deal done. But if he doesn't, in fact, get it done, now he's going to move on to taxes. That's a big pivot.
And as Mike said, it's a difficult thing to do as well because you can't do your full tax reform package without getting the money out of Obamacare first. It would have to be kind of a watered down version of what the president had promised in the campaign. But he's ready to go for a vote tomorrow. Steve Bannon up there on Capitol Hill said he wants the vote tomorrow. You heard Sean Spicer say we don't want to do this in the middle of the night. We want to do it in the clear light of day. They think that they're getting enough people on board to get past 216. Some of the latest counts that they have might go as high as 221 or 222. But publicly, people like Mark Meadows, the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, are saying, I'm still no at this point. And the White House is somewhat perplexed to know what more they can give the Freedom Caucus other than what they've given them already. Administration officials tell me that they've really capitulated on this idea of the essential health benefits. They're trying to get as much of the regulatory process out of the American Health Care Act as possible. They've even got some machinations in the Senate so that it passes the Byrd rule. But a lot of what they're hearing in these meetings with the president are grievances from administrations, and not just administrations, but also regimes in the House past saying, well, you know, under Boehner, we didn't get this and nobody talked to us about that. But that's all in the past. It's not the future. Yeah. So the White House is somewhat perplexed as to how it's going to move this ball forward when some members apparently are stuck in the past.
Mike, talk to us a little bit about Paul Ryan as Speaker and whether or not his tenure is limited if this bill doesn't pass. What are the members saying if he doesn't get his health care bill passed through over to the Senate side? Is he finished as Speaker?
Well, there's no question that he's put a lot of personal political capital into getting this done. I've heard a lot of members say that they appreciate how open he has been in terms of willing to meet with different groups, whether it's the Freedom Caucus, whether it's the more moderate Tuesday group. They feel like he's had an open door policy, at least from a lot of the folks I've talked to. Some of the leadership sources I have been talking about whether Mark Meadows is able to deliver. They're concerned that he's saying no because he's not sure whether a lot of his members are going to follow him in voting for the bill. And so in time after time, meeting with the president, talking to Speaker Ryan, it's still no. And so a lot of folks in the leadership are saying maybe he can't deliver. And so maybe negotiating with Mark Meadows is high risk and limited reward. And so they're starting to scratch their heads about whether moving this bill to the right, whether he'll be able to deliver votes or not. Eric?
John, do you think President Trump thought there was going to be this much heavy lifting and he'd have to spend this much political capital? I mentioned that to Sean Spicer. He said, no, he understood that. I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
Well, I have heard that the president is enjoying this process of negotiation. It's cutting deals, and he really is in his element. That said, apparently he remarked that doing a real estate deal was much easier than doing a political deal. But certainly, you know, if this thing goes down tomorrow to a no vote, it won't be for lack of trying on the president's part. He has been working the phones literally since this bill was introduced. He's had so many meetings here on Capitol Hill, so many meetings here at the White House. He's dispatched so many people up to Capitol Hill to work members of Congress. The only thing that they didn't get done was there was supposed to be a bowling night a week ago over at the Eisenhower Executive Office building with members of the Freedom Caucus. but that was snowed out. So I don't know, Eric, if maybe they're feeling like they were neglected because they didn't get bowling or not. But this is the White House keeps making the point that this is the one chance for all of those Republicans in Congress down at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, as you so eloquently put it, to repeal and replace Obamacare as they have been promising to do for years. He says, this is your shot. It's Plan A. That's the only plan there is. Vote for it or suffer the consequences in 2018.
Yeah, get it done. Get her done. We're going to leave it right there, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us.